on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you been. Knock, knock, let the devil in, malevolent as I've ever been. Head is spinning, this medicine screaming. I'm the pumpkin king. Medicine, it lick like a salad ball. Edgar Allan Poe, bedridden, should have been dead a long time ago. Liquid talent.
Hello, friends. What we got in here? Oh, look what we got. So, 8 o'clock. Looking forward to chatting with my friend Courtney, Real Housewife of York Region. I think you're in there. Are you in there, Court? Wave to me if you're in there. There you are. All right. If Court is ready to come and join me, 8 o'clock, come on over. Press that request button. There we go. It's always that moment of panic, wondering if this... Here we go. You are hilarious. You are absolutely and utterly hilarious.
You, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, yeah. I can hear
you. You said we were going to dress up like each other.
Is that what we said? That's what we said.
You promised me that. And I don't know if you know how hard it is to get the Dave Giffen costume.
You're a lot of special.
During a pandemic.
Lot of special right now. Wow. Wow.
So I wrote a book.
This is great. Is this really what's happening? I'm dying right now. I'm dying. Anyways, this is falling off. Okay, so there goes my whole plan. It's out the window. It's well, I guess I don't know what to say. Do you want to ask me some questions?
Well, first of all, it was really hard to get this during a pandemic, and I have to say that ever since your book came out, all the Dave Giffen costumes are like sold out.
Ridiculous.
And so they had to like give me a little bit of Ed Sheeran / Prince Harry.
Man, what is happening right now? What is happening?
But I made it work, Dave, and you didn't.
Let me tell you, you are rocking it right now. I can't even tell you.
I gotta take this off because it's really hot.
Please do. Please.
Anyways,
please,
yes.
God.
Ow! Ow, that hurts.
I adore you. Oh, my Lord.
I'm not even sure what my hair is going to be doing. Are you surprised?
Well, you know, I was all set. I was ready. I had my opening. But you know what? You might as well answer my first question now, because my first question was, a lot of people ask me how we know each other, and I need to know how you answer that question.
I'm just going to turn this up because I can't hear you quite as well. Okay, how do we know each other? Yeah. Well, I guess the simple answer is we know each other from high school.
Yes, we do.
Which is 25. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But that's the simple answer. If you've read this book, I guess the answer in this book would be, let me see if I can get it, remember it. Rory's Uncle Donnie's girlfriend with the hot sister.
That's, you know, you do a great, nobody does a better job of plugging my book than you. I gotta tell you that.
Any opportunity.
And there's a lot of friends from high school who would probably like me to follow up on that a little bit and ask a few more questions. So I'm going to go in a very different direction. I'm just going to ask, out of pure curiosity, is that older sister still single? She's still around?
Oh, no. She's off the market. She's been off the market for a long time.
That's too bad. I hope she's happy.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah. Actually, she ended up marrying a guy, believe it or not, from Markham High.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I bet you he's a great dude. Actually, yeah. I was pretending I didn't know that. He is a great dude from what I know.
Yeah.
All right. I've got some big questions for you, friends.
Okay, ready.
Are you ready? Because
I
let me
think so.
say, I enjoyed very much my the week my book came out. You interviewed me, so
Mhm.
I've been looking forward to this for a few months.
I know, me too. This is great. I'm usually the one asking the questions, though, so it's slightly out of my comfort zone. Kinda,
Yeah?
kinda.
No, you got this. This is all you right now.
Yeah.
All right. Thursday mornings in Aurora.
Yes.
There's a walk happening. It's a walk for mental health. It's a walk that is something you're very passionate about. So, who is walking for mental health? Why are they walking?
Okay, so the backstory on that a little bit is that so mental health is a big passion of mine. And the reason for that is that I have had some of my own struggles through different times in my life.
Yeah.
And after I had my daughter in 2017, I went through some pretty serious postpartum anxiety. A lot of people don't know about postpartum anxiety. They know a lot about postpartum depression. And had no idea about postpartum anxiety, but it affects about 10% of new moms.
Okay.
And like, I know you've had your son, and you were with your wife at the time as
Yeah.
she was going through all of that. And it's a lot. So like a lot of new moms will experience a certain level of anxiety, increased anxiety, but postpartum anxiety, like when it hits the disorder kind of stage, is where your anxiety and your worries kind of, I guess you could say, overshoot or whatever reality. Um, and you can't quiet your mind, and then you actually get anxious about the fact that you can't do that. So it's a really kind of awful cycle. So I didn't feel better I didn't start to feel better until I met another mom in my community who was going through the same thing. And that alone helped me feel like I wasn't alone in this, and that it was something that was, I guess more common than I thought, which kind of led me again to thinking, okay, well, I can't be the only person going through this. There's got to be so many other people out there kind of quietly suffering, right? And so I said, well, I'm going to do something about that. And I started a walk for mental health, and it is for women.
Yeah.
And for women who are suffering from depression, anxiety, isolation, loneliness, all that kind of stuff that so many can relate to now, especially. And it's amazing because it's not just new moms who come out and walk. It's also like women whose kids have gone off to school and now they're by themselves, or women who work from home and are feeling isolated, or, women new to the community. So it's a wonderful group of women. And what's really cool too is that it's like these walks have gotten quite a bit of,
A little bit of
I guess,
attention. A little bit of
attention.
attention.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I see you on a different podcast every other week right now. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like it's a lot of podcasts, some like Roger's interviews, which was really great. And what was really special to me is that my local newspaper around Christmas time, because 2020 was a really hard year.
Yeah, for everybody.
And there were so many amazing stories of people doing different things. But what I was so honored to receive was the title of most inspirational person in my community for 2020.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. What a cool, there's a title.
I was so humbled and honored with that because, she just said she really loved my grassroots efforts to help others in the community with mental health and have the courage to talk about it.
What a cool thing. And I know a few of the women who walk in that group with you. I've known some of them for years, and I hear stories about how the moments that get created on these walks where people have a moment to be vulnerable in a way that they might not be able to with three rugrats running around and chasing them. So it's I think you've created something pretty special there.
I think so too. And I get really inspired by the people on my walks, and because everyone has a story, and that's the thing about mental health is we all have a story, and your story should be heard, right? So that's what the platform is that I want. I want those women who come out and walk. You know, it's not only does it help with mood because you're getting out and you're getting some fresh air and you're walking and you're in what feels like a community, but you're being validated, right? So that's really, really important too. So yeah, and I've made some really amazing friendships with the women. So it's been as beneficial, if not, you know, more for me than for anybody.
Well, mental health advocate is a given now.
Yeah.
I hear psychotherapist in training. So
Yes.
tell me about the who, what, when, where, why, and how, or maybe just the who, what, and the how, or some combination of those.
Well, it's funny because I have wanted to do this for so long, go back to school to become a therapist. But what's interesting is like in my early 30s, that's when I really wanted to go back and do this. But I thought I was too old in my early 30s. I'm just like, oh no, you know, I'm too old to go back to school.
Not true.
No, not at all. And so, anyways, actually, a lady who does the walks with me, I became quite good friends with her, and we were chatting. And I was telling her about this. Plus, this was also at the beginning of the pandemic, and so I was trying to create more like mental health awareness videos on like social media and stuff, just to try to keep that connection going.
I think I saw
And so,
some of those. That's very cool. Yeah.
yeah. And so she reached out to me and she said, you'd be great at this course that I'm doing. And by the way, it's a master's of counseling psychology. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a big thing. But what else were we doing at the time? You know, like
Totally.
it was locked down.
What better time?
Yeah, what better time? Exactly. And so I took the plunge and I started May of 2020, and it's a 2.5-year program. So I'm like almost a year in, but
You know what? We're almost halfway.
yeah, because I also have my practicum that I have to do where I get supervision and stuff like that. So
Amazing.
it's amazing, Dave. Like honestly, it's just opened my mind in ways that I guess was really wanting and kind of desperate for almost, but just wasn't getting anywhere else. And so this going back to school has also been a real lifesaver for me during the pandemic because it's given me purpose and education. It's just, you know, it's been just so good for me. Yeah.
What like now that you've spent a year plus, you're digging into this, what's the biggest surprise about this path to this vocation?
I think the biggest surprise is how much work you have to do on yourself when you're going to become a counselor.
Yeah.
Because I have to make sure that I'm good, that I'm balanced, that I've challenged all of my, you know, maybe biases and things like that we all have.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, exactly. Before I can be of service properly to somebody else. And so that's probably one of the biggest things. And it's been a lot of work. Like the self-work is a lot of work, and it's a commitment. But again, it's a great career path because it's the type of career that you're always growing and you're always learning and you're always challenging yourself and your beliefs, and you learn so much too from the people across from you, right? So
Totally.
yeah, super I don't know, just inspiring, and I'm on the right path. That's how I feel. So who knew a pandemic would take me there, but here we are.
You know what? I hear so many stories from so many people, and my own included, where the pandemic provided time for things that we just didn't realize. Like I was saying to someone the other day that my relationship with my son Rory is so much deeper than it would have been otherwise because of the amount of time we spent together. There are deficits that he's going to have from not spending enough time in school, and I think they're all going to have to be addressed. But they're silver linings, and these, you know, talking about those stories is always a really good thing.
I agree. And you, like how much you have done, you know, in this amount of time. Like, where were you this time last year? You know,
Not here.
Yeah, I know.
Not here. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. But let me. Well, speaking of that, you know, as a single dad in a newly forming modern family, co-parenting with a kid, back and forth. You inspire me. Let me tell you, your family. I was over for dinner at your house one time, and I sat next to your daughter, and I just looking at that beautiful family of yours, and I heard some really interesting stories about your modern family, and I was just wondering
Yeah.
if you could tell some people about this because I want to know what your secret is because I think it sounds pretty incredible.
It's definitely been a work in progress. It hasn't happened overnight. So just to fill people in who might not know, so my husband and I, we've been together for almost 7 years, married for almost 7 years, but he divorced his wife, and then she's remarried and all that kind of stuff. But we have been able to, over time, all been able to become really good friends. And a little bit of a fun fact is that, so I have a shoe company. It's called Marisoles. It's a footwear company.
Yeah,
And the fun fact in that is that Julia, so my husband's ex-wife, is my business partner in that
incredible.
company.
It's incredible.
So, yeah. So, we've not only been able to become friends, but also business partners. And so, but what it really took, and I don't know where you are with your ex and that whole process, but it takes time. Like, it's not going to happen, and
Of course it does.
it's not going to, yeah.
No, of course it does.
It takes time for sure. Like, it took us a good 5 years to get to a place where we could all be okay, like truly okay, instead of pretending okay.
In actual new realities, not just pretending new realities, right? Like it takes time
Yes.
to adjust. But I have to say, what Heather and I work really hard to around how this works with Rory. But what a gift to your kids, right? Like
Yeah.
for everyone to know peace and to know
Yeah.
that kind of love. It's beautiful. It really is.
And that's really why we did it, was for the kids. We wanted to make sure that, well, and for the adults too, in a sense, because it just makes everybody's life easier. If I'm not spending my energy and time hating somebody, like, that just takes so much time and effort. Like, hating somebody takes a lot of effort. And I don't have that kind of effort to give that. So, I've just been able to see her as her versus the title of my husband's ex-wife, and been able to develop a genuine friendship with her outside of him. And there's a lot of power in that, and with co-parenting, it makes it so much easier, and the kids get to see no animosity, and it's a true example. And what I'm trying to do is show a true example of women supporting each other, because there's so much in society of women knocking each other down, and we don't need to see any more of that. So,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right, here. Talk about families. Talk about mental health.
Yeah.
You and I, in our lives, have been exposed to addiction and alcoholism, and I've written a book about some of my own struggles about it. We knew each other at a very young age, so we know we had exposure to lots of it at a young age. You and I have talked lots about this in the past, but I'd love to share here why you think it's so important for kids to grow up in a relatively clean and sober environment. Why does that matter?
I think, it's really hard, because growing up, when you have someone in your life that's close to you who has been addicted to something like alcohol. I mean, full disclosure, it's my dad. He's, I love him dearly. He's a fabulous person, human being, but unfortunately he battles the addictive disease, and his dad battled the addictive disease.
Yeah.
And when it goes into families like that, you just live a certain way without even really realizing it,
I know it.
I mean, he did realize it when he was a child watching his dad, but it's just funny how you just adopt the same coping mechanisms, or lack thereof, I guess, right? Because a parent who is addicted to alcohol is not able, a lot of the time, to provide that emotional support and stability. So adult children of alcoholics, demonstrate a certain type of behavior. But why is it so important to me? I mean, I have to be careful I've always had to be careful with alcohol because, listen, I come by it honestly, and it's hereditary, right? And actually, the beginning of the pandemic was a real eye-opener for me because I had kind of teetered with it a little bit, wondering if it wasn't, but the beginning of the pandemic showed me that I think I might not have the control here with this. And so June of 2020, I had my last drink and haven't turned back. Now, it hasn't been easy, but my daughter is the main reason for that. Yeah, for sure.
What do you
So,
want? What do you want her to know you as you raise this beautiful little girl? How do you want her to know you?
just as somebody who is present, very, very present,
Hmm.
very okay with the emotions that she has, even if they're uncomfortable for me. Um, and it's my duty and my job to give her all the tools that I can possibly give her. Um, and again, with my schooling and my self exploration with my therapy, if somebody has an emotion and we're not okay with it, we have to ask ourselves why. What's that about? Why am I not comfortable with you crying? Or why am I not, like, all of these different sorts of things. So she's an amazing little girl. She deserves to have sober parents, and she does. And without her knowing it, like, she will never be the adult child of an alcoholic. Like that, for my family, that stops with me. So, yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I think you are one badass warrior, and I think you just gave a lot of people permission to tell their truth.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
I think you did.
Thank you.
All right. Now we had our little soft moment. Let's do rapid fire. All right. You ready for rapid fire?
I just have to tell you that I am really bad at this sort of thing. Like, I either like blank and can't remember the name of like people I should know the name of, or will go on a diatribe. So I am making no promises with how this is going to go, but
I know. You told me this, and that's why I've made it real easy for you. It's going to be
good.
real easy. I promised you it wouldn't. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't leave you with dead air. Okay. So we're going to start.
God.
We're going to start. Favorite high school teacher, Mr. or Mrs.?
Suarez, I believe her name was, a drama teacher.
Beautiful. I liked her too. She was awesome.
She was
She's in like
amazing.
South Africa now, I think.
Oh, is she?
She is. Yeah, she's a cool lady.
Yeah.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
From where?
I make really good coffee at home.
All right, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's really good.
Stage or screen?
Definitely the stage. All about the stage.
So for those of anyone who sees this off of my page, Court has been a very talented actress the entire time I've known her, since she was 14 and well before. And she has starred on stage. So we'll get back to that in a sec, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, God.
All right. Jock or artist?
Artist.
All day, all day, every day.
Good question, Dave.
Authentic ginger, what do you think of?
What do you mean?
When you hear the term authentic ginger?
I think of someone who is true to themselves and a little spicy.
Love it.
Yeah.
When you hear Mamma Mia, what do you think of?
One of my favorite times on stage, actually.
Right on. And I knew that. I saw some clips and some photographs of you starring in Newmarket, up in the York region. What was your role in Mamma Mia?
I was Rosie, so I was one of the three. I don't. Whoever knows Mamma Mia, yeah. I wasn't Donna. She's like the main lead, and then she's got these two sidekicks who are kind of like crazy. I was Rosie in that show.
And I hear that there was a really cute director. Is that right?
Yes, that was my husband. He was the director. Yes,
right.
Yes.
So that definitely comes with a follow-up. Because what's it like for Real Housewife to be directed by her real husband?
I think for us, it's actually a really connecting type of experience. Like, he's so good at what he does that I find that really hot, actually.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
And you know, if you know JP, you know how passionate he is about, like, when he's passionate about something, it's passion beyond what you could even imagine. And when I see him in that role, like, I just I love it. And I love being in his shows because when you're in the community theater scene, you're not always in the greatest show in the world, but he really puts on an amazing show, and he's an amazing director. And without giving too much information, because nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered yet, there's going to be some really exciting professional stuff in Toronto that he's going to be doing 2022.
Very cool. Very
Very
cool.
cool.
Very
Very
cool.
exciting.
Will you be back on stage?
No, I will not be back on stage.
Not for this one. Not for this. But not for not ever?
Well, I mean, I will be back on stage as soon as I can get back on stage.
Right on.
But in terms of this project that he's doing, it's going to be a pretty big deal in the city with some pretty big stars and stuff like that. So
Amazing.
I think I'll just be the, supporting role for him. Yeah. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So let me, if you'll indulge me for just a minute, I thought since we were doing this, I would tell a court story because I need to tell a court story.
Oh, no.
And, I could have drawn from many court stories.
Okay.
Which I won't from our teenage years. I think that probably wouldn't be fair to anyone, and definitely not to, other people. So I want to tell a story about you from last year. And there is something that I love about old, holy, ancient texts. And it's that you hear this common phrase again and again and again, especially in the Jewish scriptures and the New Testament, the Christian scriptures, and it's be not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Be not afraid. Again and again and again. And on October 23rd, my book dropped. It dropped a month before anybody knew it was going to, before I knew it was going to. It didn't time up the way we thought it was. And it went to #1 hot new release on Amazon, and I was freaking out, and I didn't want to do anything about it. And you were one of like 2 people that I told at the time. And you told me not to be afraid. And all of the people who say that in my favorite texts are the angels. So
Dave.
on a very important day when I thought I was going to lose my shit, you were pretty important to me and said some pretty important words to me. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Aw.
All right. Now that we've been vulnerable, you can tell me what the most important thing that people need to hear in 2021. What's the most important thing?
The most important thing? Well, I think 2020 was a really good lesson for everybody, if you allowed it to be. And I sometimes don't like talking positively about 2020 because I feel sad for the people who lost. There was a lot of loss in 2020. But for those who can, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And I was having a conversation with somebody today, and it was like anything that was kind of at the surface before the pandemic hit really, blew up.
Well, yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were experiencing like some depression before, your depression is like full on now.
Sure.
Or if you were kind of teetering on that, questioning the alcohol use or whatever, that pandemic, I mean, we've seen it in the numbers with alcohol sales and everything, that they're through the roof because people don't know how to cope.
Yeah.
And so
I remember an article at the very beginning of the pandemic which addressed why the liquor store was still open. And it was a health official that said, I don't think the public fully realizes the level of alcohol dependence that exists in our society. And if the LCBO were to be just pulled like that, if it would just be cut off, it would lead to chaos because of the level of dependence. And that says something about where we are with this.
It really does. But, I think that it's so normalized. Like, it's so normalized. And for me, being like a mom with young kids and stuff, like the mommy wine culture is crazy. It's just like there's a lot of stuff that says, if you can't cope with your kids, have a drink, right? And not that I wanted, like, and I'm not judging anybody who's doing that, like, by any means whatsoever. But
Yeah, we've all had our days. We've all had our days.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think moving into 2021, if you can learn from the lessons that we've been given and shown, and also when it comes to mental health, I hope that as we move out of the lockdown and everything like that, that people can still remember how important their mental health is. Like, if you have a brain, you have to take care of your mental health. Like, we all have bodies, we have to take care of our physical health. And they're so connected. They are so connected.
Yeah.
And, and I want to talk about mental health too. Like, it's not just a disorder. It's not just alcoholism. It's not just depression. It's like if you are going through a big transition in your life, if you've been divorced, if if your kid's gone off to university, like all of these different things, like these are all areas where people really need to learn how to take care of themselves
And
in a healthy way.
If you've broken a bone or been really sick or been out of commission and you're trying to get yourself back together, there's a lot of people suffering from circumstantial depression that leads to a lot of different things. So mental health, we all have experiences of mental health and mental unhealth, all of us, every single one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember the exact statistic, but I think it's like by the age of 40, it's a staggering number, and I can't remember exactly, so I'm not going to say it, but by the age of 40, there's so many people, almost, I would say maybe around 75%, that have experienced a major mental health issue. And there's just not enough support, and there's just not enough people talking about it. Like, it's okay, it's okay. And that's what I'm hoping to do with my Real Housewife of York Region brand, is just pave the way and let people know that it's okay to take care of your mental health. And if it's at a point where it's not okay, like I always talk about therapy too.
Yeah.
Because I wish that people didn't wait till they got to that breaking point, or like almost divorced or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if you're having a hard time or you're finding you can't get over something or whatever, like therapy, it's been a godsend for me.
But in the end, it's about stigma, right? It's about whether or not people have to carry shame or not carry shame because they're struggling.
It's all about the shame. There's so much shame. Yeah, and even when I'm telling, like I've told my therapist before about feelings that I have, and there's so much shame associated with it. And he said, let's take the shame away from that, Let's take the shame away from it. It is what it is.
What it is. It is what it is. Name it for what it is.
And we're not going to get through it until we just own it, right? And it be okay. So, yeah, ending the stigma, that's definitely what I hope, or helping to end the stigma is my purpose, and what I hope that people who have experienced any sort of issues or struggles within 2020 will be a little bit more empathetic for those who have mental health issues, even when it's not a pandemic. Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to be hosting Steve Green, a former colleague of mine, big BIPOC advocate. He's a pastor of a church, and we're going to talk about the stigma of not being white. So we're gonna get into some serious stuff next time. I hope you'll tune in and listen.
Yeah.
I think it's next Sunday at 7. I think we're doing Facebook for that one, not Instagram.
Oh, okay.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, come check us out.
Yes,
all right. Well,
definitely.
Court, it's just been awesome. And you know what? If nothing else, from our interview back in November, and then this follow up, and the friendship that's happened in between, and getting to know your beautiful family, I got to say, it's been great to reconnect with you, and I admire everything you're doing. You're a pretty awesome person.
Well, I feel the same way about you, Dave, and I hope that I'll be able to meet your little guy.
Yeah, once we get
oh
through
my
this.
gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for giving me a platform to talk about mental health, and thank you for all the work that you do to, tell your story and make it okay for others too.
Last question.
Uh-oh.
Do you and your husband, do you subscribe to the New York Review of Books?
I'm going to because I heard there's something big happening there.
Okay, well, make sure you subscribe.
Why?
I just want you to.
Okay.
Okay.
I will.
Peace.
Bye, Dave.
See ya.